4 weeks ago, those three men on the TV behind me right here gave us this, the Nintendo Switch 2. That's a whole month I've spent with this thing, and I have a whole lot to talk about when it comes to this thing. And I think after a week, you can get those first excited impressions of a console, but after a month, you really have settled in with it. You've found what you like about it, and also you're starting to see some flaws. If you're still on the fence with whether or not you should get one, this video and maybe Donkey Kong coming out this month might help you make your mind up one way or another. That said, let's talk about the Switch 2. How is this console holding up physically? Am I getting Joy-Con drift? Are pieces of it falling apart? Are there any things that are kind of annoying to use and work around? And the answer to pretty much all of that is no. I'd be fairly devastated in Nintendo's efforts if after 30 days I was having any major issues. And I think as far as I can see online, there isn't really anything that's cropped up yet. I haven't seen anybody complain about this little part on the inside snapping off. In fact, if you want to quell your fears of that even more so, in Welcome to It, Nintendo actually even talks about how this little hinge has a lot of give on purpose. It is built very sound. The Joy-Cons are still snapping on and off perfectly. I've had no issue there. And over the last week or so, I've had my Satisfy grip. I gotta talk about it because it's been part of my gaming experience over the last month, but it is also something you can buy that I produce, and there'll be links down below for it. Fully dockable. I'm able to take around a couple extra games. I'm still able to fully access the card slot up top, and having this grip on my console has made playing it better because even though I do like how much bigger this Switch is, and it really does make my hands not go as pins and needly as quickly, having this on just completely fixes that, and I can sit up all night playing games on it. And that's the hardware side. Again, I haven't had a single issue with that. I mean, other than the battery. I talked about this on a podcast episode, but the battery is my first gripe. It sucks. Out the box, all these launch Switch 2s for some reason aren't correctly displaying the battery, so it dies way quicker than it actually dies. It'll sit on 1% for 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the game you're playing. So I did this fix where it correctly now shows me how quickly the battery is draining, and while it's double what I thought, it still isn't a lot. The worst experience I had with this is I had a massive hurricane, tornado, storm, 70-mile gust winds blow through town and knock out all of our power lines. And it was me, Kim, and my friend Bingle who was over because of the podcast, and we literally had no power for like a whole day. So we lit some candles and decided to play some Mario Kart, and we only got about 45 minutes before a couple of our Switches started dying, and with no way to charge them, I mean, that was really it. Oh, but wait, let me add this into the video, because you're probably thinking while listening to this story, don't you have a power bank or something? As I was making this video, Green reached out to me and asked if I wanted to check out their power bank, and if I liked it, maybe slot it into a video. And it's kind of cool, and I was so impressed with how quickly this charges my Switch 2. This is the Green Nexode 165-watt retractable power bank. You have this really long retractable cord that you can stop at any length, plug it into your Switch, and it'll charge it up. So right now, I just plugged it in. We're at 73%. We'll leave this here for a second, but I've already tested this. I actually set up a camera and walked away and then forgot after 10 minutes the screen turns off. I'm an idiot. But in those 10 minutes, we actually went up almost 10% battery, which is a pretty quick charge time considering that Nintendo says a full charge for the Switch 2 takes 3 hours. We're getting 10% out of 10 minutes. So Ugreen's power bank features fast charging. The power bank can deliver up to 100 watts via a single USB-C or 165 watts via 2 USB-C ports. You can charge a 14-inch MacBook Pro from 0 to 54% in just 30 minutes. So you got 3 ports, you got the retractable cord, you have the USB-C, and you have a USB-A, which you can use to charge 3 devices simultaneously. Because you can charge like an iPhone 16 almost 4 times on a single charge, you can also charge the Switch 2 2 up multiple times. In fact, in my recorded test, once my Switch 2 was done charging, I still had like 60% battery on this thing. And that's because it has a massive large capacity of 200,000 mAh. The best part of all of it is the fact that it has a screen. It tells me I'm on 98% battery on my charge bank. It'll last another 5 or 6 hours. It's telling me the wattage that it's currently putting out through this USB-C. And since I've been doing this ad read, which is only a couple minutes long, we're already up to 76%, so we've already gone up a few percent battery. So I'll leave links down below, and you can check out Ugreen's Prime Day sales on Amazon, where you can get up to 40% off right now. Again, links down below. If you're having a hard time keeping your Switch 2 charged, this might just be the answer you're looking for. I'll finish with a couple of nice things. The fan noise on this thing is non-existent. For what this console is doing comparatively to things like the Lenovo Legion Go and the ROG Ally, I feel like people don't talk about that element nearly enough. They compare the specs, sure, but you run a ROG Ally at full speed performance mode, I mean, that bad boy sounds like a jet engine to get even nearly what this can do visual-wise and frame rate-wise. It really is quite impressive how quiet the Switch 2 is. Okay, I want to talk about games. So for the last month, I have really been surprised how much I keep going back to Mario Kart World. Because I gotta be honest, 2 or 3 days in, when I really juiced what I wanted to get out of the open world, I really wasn't vibing with it, and I did a bunch of knockout tours and traditional races, and I realized there's really not much left for me here. So I kind of put it down. I went to Cyberpunk and started messing around with the rest of the library because I wanted to review all the games. But again, I was really shocked how many times I would end up coming back to Mario Kart. It would either be when I first picked up the console for the day. I knew how quickly Mario Kart would boot up, so it was tempting just to do one knockout tour before I start diving into whatever the next game was. I can't stress this enough. Kim loves Mario. I'm shocked. Her excitement for this game went from here all the way up. She's barely even playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure. You don't know what that means. I keep going back and forth. I keep saying to myself, oh, there's barely anything here, and then I can't stop playing it. I wish there was more options, especially with the online. Recently, Nintendo put out a patch that actually made it worse. You used to be able to select random course when you were doing the 3-lap races online, the versus mode, so that you could actually get into 3-lap races, the traditional Mario Kart mode. But Nintendo did a tweak where they made it so you have to do the long, lengthy drive to the course, which means you only get 1 lap on the actual course. It's a really weird thing that doesn't seem that important if you're not playing, but when you actually feel it, you realize you're kind of missing Mario Kart. You're kind of missing the whole point. There's something exciting and exhilarating about having 3 laps. And removing that and only getting 1 lap with a lengthy drive to it, I already have knockout mode, Nintendo. Yeah, this actually kind of has sucked a lot of the fun out of it. So that was kind of disappointing, and I don't know why Nintendo are actively removing features of a game when there's already so few features in the game. I'm still working through a Cyberpunk playthrough, so I keep going back to that, and I gotta be honest, I am just so impressed by that port. I have not touched that at all. Well, the first week I did a lot of Soul Calibur, but I haven't really touched that as much as I thought. I'm definitely waiting for Pokemon Coliseum to drop on the GameCube app, and I'd love to see Eternal Darkness. Other than that, I'm just bouncing around places. I'll say that I wasted $50 yesterday. I've been waiting for this Tamagotchi Life game to come out. I've been excited to show Kim, and I thought it released. So I was like, okay, new Nintendo game. So I bought that, and I told Kim to play it, and I was watching Kim play it, and I started to quickly realize it wasn't Tamagotchi Life. It was Tamagotchi Plaza. I don't know if I dyslexicked my way around it, but I bought it so quickly thinking it was the new Tamagotchi, and Kim was just doing these horrible little mini games. They didn't look fun. The sounds coming from these mini games were ear-piercingly horrible. We were both sitting there wondering how it passed quality assessment. It wasn't good. I asked him, how much do you think this game is worth? And she said, I don't know, maybe $10? $50! All it is 15 of these little mini games. You don't raise a Tamagotchi. It's not nostalgic for Tamagotchi in any way. It's just these really boring mini games. And I wanted to let you know about it because holy crap, don't buy this. I finally did a digital game share, though, with this Tamagotchi Life game because I bought it on my console. And as much as I kind of hate this whole digital game key card thing they've done, fun. Sometimes I want to go play a game on this, like Smash Brothers, and it wanted me to load the DLC from my old Switch, which apparently it didn't do. So I had to go and get my Switch 1 and hold them next to each other. Before this, it would have just known the DLC was on my account and just activated it. But I had to do this whole extra step that's almost like essentially a physical cart step. These digital are making digital games more physical, which is annoying because that's not the point of digital. And then the game key cards are making physical games digital, but you don't get the benefits of them being digital because you still have to put the cartridges in every time. We just need to go back to normal, I really feel like, with this. Let digital be digital, let physical be physical. Ride Out, The Mystery of the Soulless Army. It released on both Switch 1 and Switch 2. They're both $50 games. The Switch 1 version isn't a game key card, but the Switch 1 version doesn't have the Switch 2 enhanced features and there's no upgrade pack. So you either play the Switch 1 version on your Switch 2 and it'll be low res, low frames, but you have the whole game on the cart, or you buy this version and you get the better frames and resolution, but it's a game key card. That was a really horrible Sophie's choice of a position that Nintendo put me in. It was either spend the same money and get a worse version or spend the same money and get an empty version. So the game key cart situation, I made a video about it already on the channel and you can watch that, but it's definitely affecting the enjoyment I'm having with this console this time around because the enjoyment I get from collecting and buying games. And being put in that position with Ride Out sucked. That's my experience with games. I mean, you can go see my other videos for my breakdown on those video games specifically. A majority of my time playing on this console has been Mario Kart, Cyberpunk, Fantasy Life I, definitely. I've jumped into Fortnite quite a few times with my friends. It's just such a nice revamp and an easy thing to go around or two on game chat at night with the boys. I talked about game chat, I think, in my 1 week video, and my thoughts on that hasn't really changed. It's been really nice because I've been taking care of my son up late at night and I'm on the couch. I'm not at my gaming setup. It's been really nice to jump into those games while he's taking a nap or he's just lying comfortably in my arms and talk to my friends while I play games. I don't really do the whole face cam thing. We've done it a couple of times, but it's not really easy for me to do while playing in handheld mode. But definitely streaming gameplay footage. I know it's 15 frames, like I said, but there's been multiple nights where me and Fried Biscuits are playing different games and I just like to see what he's doing and I just kind of need a reference for it. I do get worried when I'm like streaming him Cyberpunk. Like I wonder, like, am I still getting full HDR and resolution and frames? So sometimes I turn off game share just because I'm worried. I just want to make sure I'm getting the most out of the game. But other than that, game chat and all of that, it's a really cool feature that I'm definitely using more than I thought. The eShop this time around is way more improved, like I was talking about, but I am kind of disappointed that Nintendo are still just letting absolutely anything filter through to the eShop. I mean, you go to recent releases and you have popular recent releases at the top, which is a really nice addition that they did. But then as soon as you scroll onto that, you just have all the shovelware again. And of course, the Luigi content games. Oh, by the way, I have a new Luigi content t-shirt. I really like it. It's really neat. I kind of designed the shirt because I wanted it to look like really cool Japanese streetwear, like the kind of shirts I bought while I was in Japan. And then I had my artist George design the Luigi content girl. Absolutely nailed it. I mean, you're looking at it. I'm going to not say the H word, and instead I'll just say Luigi content. So if you want to grab one, there's links down below. I also forgot to mention that there's a poster. So you can also get this as a poster if you don't want it as a shirt. There's even a bundle where you can get both the black shirt and the white poster. We really went all in, and there'll be links down below if you want to support it. I can't stress this enough. I never do merch drops. I never do shirts. But when an idea hits me, I just know that I have to do it. And I knew this is something that I would want to wear. So I decided to make it. And then if you want to wear it too, that would be awesome. Anyway, the eShop is still filled with Luigi content. And I just think this sucks because if you just bought a Switch 2 for the first time and you're trying to find a new game to play, you got to scroll past all of it. You actually have to go down at least 500 games to even find, I'm still going, finally get to Nintendo's Switch 2 launch lineup of games. I do like that in the search option, there's a being played by friends. I mean, that's kind of unique. I think everything is fine with it. It's just all of the shovelware in recent releases and Luigi content is just very carrying any good upload, and it just is a really bad look on the eShop and Nintendo. I do want to say that there's definitely an element after a month with this console where I do feel like the newness of it has worn off. Like the excitement of having a new console from Nintendo has worn off, and it wore off way quicker than I expected and what I'm used to when I get a new console. And I did expect that, to be honest, and it's because it is quite literally a Switch again. The thing that really would have separated it and made it stand apart is a new fresh UI. Something that when you turned the console on, it was obviously different to look at. Custom themes even. Even if you kept this UI the same, at least there would be an air of new and creativity and something different. That new factor of getting something different wore off really quickly, and it just feels like they upgraded my Switch. One of the biggest differences I've noticed with this console is docking it does seem to put out a way better image, clarity, and experience than last time. It really did feel like the Switch 1 dock was just taking what you have on handheld and blowing it up on the TV. This time around, that dock is doing so much heavy lifting when you play on the TV. I mean, it really is changing the experience. Whereas before, a game like Cyberpunk, if that was on Switch 1, I would be a little scared to dock it because I really wouldn't want to push it too far on my TV. But here, I'm excited to dock that game because of how much extra the dock gets out of the game. It ends up looking way nicer on my TV than in handheld mode. So the dock definitely feels like a really exciting upgrade, and I'm leaning into using it way more than I was before. It's also a great excuse to use the new Pro controller, and that thing's just awesome. I've said this so many times, but people compare the Switch 2 to like the Steam Deck, and they're like, oh, the Steam Deck base model is $400 and the Switch 2 is $450. To start with, don't compare the base model of the Steam Deck. You have to at least do one of the newer models, since we're comparing it to something that has HDR here and, 120 hertz screen. Like, let's be fair and actually compare those prices. And in that case alone, the Switch 2 is already coming out on top. But for people that don't see the $450 value in the console alone, I think people really forget about the dock. They really just discredit that. The dock does so much for that whole second half of the experience that is playing it on the TV. I've always felt $450 was fair. I still feel like $450 is fair. We can go into game talk, Tamagotchi being 50, Welcome to It being 10, Mario Kart being 80 for some reason, and I'll agree with you all the way to the bank. But in this case, with the console specifically, I think it's worth the price. I haven't really heard anybody say they regret buying it or they feel like they wasted their money. That's not a sentiment I think that's been heavily resonated online. Sure, some people experience that with almost anything, but to say that now, I think it's just too early. To buy a console within the first week or the first month and then be like, oh, I regret buying this. I don't really know what you expected. I mean, the launch lineup of games is there. There's more coming. If you have interest here, you will want this eventually, And it's not like the price is ever going to come down. But once Pokemon hits, the new Metroid hits, a new Zelda hits, at some point, you're going to want this thing. As far as the community as a whole and what I've seen online when it comes to this console over the last month, I think sometimes people honestly forget what the Switch 1 launch was like. Leading up to it, nobody had faith in that console. A conversation I had around that time again and again and again was that the Switch 1 had no games, even though it had a ton of games, and I was trying to tell people it had games, and by the time the Switch 2 came around, it had over 15,000 games on the eShop. Granted, a lot of them were shovelware, but you know how many of them were actually great. There's a lot of people hating on it just to hate on it, which you get with anything in life, but it definitely does feel louder than expected, because I think people are just really angry and upset online right now. Not necessarily even at Nintendo, but at the world. There's a sentiment online in general about just screw multi-million, billion-dollar companies, which isn't necessarily something I'm not behind. Nintendo really aren't any different or any free from any of that, especially when they keep making really questionable choices. As I'm filming this right now, I just heard that Nintendo of Canada are raising prices on Switch 1 stuff, and I think that's to do with changing market conditions, but you obviously have to understand why people are mad. And it's tough even being a creator right now and making videos about it and talking about it in any kind of way, because on one hand, if I'm negative about it, like I am sometimes with the game key cards, a lot of people that just want to be positive right now or are having a good time, they don't want to see stuff like that. And then when I'm positive about it, people hate on me and they yell at me to drop the price, like I have anything to do with it, like I have any control, like I work at Nintendo. So the online sentiment definitely isn't super healthy healthy. And I don't think Nintendo are doing anything to make that any better right now. I do think time heals all wounds, as they say, and I think as time goes on and we start getting more and more really cool experiences on this console and more people want to pick it up and they buy into it, the less you'll see people complaining about it. But there will always be people that are yelling about something, so we're never going to be able to avoid that. And the internet, with the way that it is now, I would honestly just recommend not going on the internet. I try and do it as little as possible. But as far as the hype for the console, to me, it doesn't feel like it's dying down at all. I feel like the actual hype online exploded out the gate. We saw those record-breaking sales numbers, and now Donkey Kong's about to release. So we really should ride a pretty good high up through the end of the year. And I'd be really interested to see how Nintendo tackle year 2. It's next year, and how they can possibly top and keep up this momentum into next year that I'm really excited to see and really curious to see what they have planned. I would love to know what your guys' first month with the console is like, or if you just picked it up, what's your first week like? Or if you're still waiting to pick it up, did this video help you? What's your hang up? What's your hold up? If you want to grab this case, by the way, or this grip, or that Luigi content t-shirt, I know that's a lot all of a sudden, but if you want to grab any of that, and there's no pressure, I'll leave links down below to all of it. Okay, bye.